not much sailing going to be going on today. There's the lake. It's absolutely glass. Like, you can see these little ripples. That was just a little boat with an electric motor just went by at about 2 knots, and it's so glass-like. The whole lake got disturbed by it. It's crazy. So we're going to do some projects. Here's the dinghy. First thing I wanted to do, because we've had some really bad weather recently, the boat's been laid up for about 3 weeks, just checking the bilges. So on the Mirror Dinghy there's one either side, there and there. There's one at the back, and then there's one at the front, which is through, oh, let's see, through there. You might just be able to make it out. There you go. And they drain out here. And they had a little bit of water in. Really, you should empty them after your sail, so there's not water stuck in your bilges. The other little project I've done, I've got my new baler. My first sail last week, where I actually lost all my my new GoPro. I lost my baler and my gloves and all sorts. So I've got a new baler, £5 off eBay. That's great. It really works well, this baler, actually. But it's got to be tethered. You've got to tether it to the boat. So that's going to be the first job. So there she is, rigged up, ready to go. There's no wind. If there was decent wind to sail, I probably wouldn't be able to rig her up like that. It would probably start to really blow the boat over. But as it happens, it's a really great day to tinker and do some other jobs. And I've got my little outboard that I'm going to sort of have a play with as well. So anyway, I wanted to see where it would be best to put a GoPro. So I'm just getting the boat set up. So one thing I'd like to do is get a GoPro camera set up on the boat. So I just wanted to hoist the gaff so I could see where the best place to put it. I've got some really neat metal mounts that I can screw in. I'm going to try and maybe put it, see if my finger can point. There's a little gap right at the top of the gaff there that might show something. The other option is to try and put it on the boom. So there might be quite a good way of putting it on the boom, maybe hanging it under here, something like that, which would be quite cool. And then the other options are to stick one on the front of the boat. I mean, actually, now I'm doing that, that looks quite good. I've got the gaff ready to go. I fixed the camera like that on the gaff, so I've got this camera running as well. So as I hoist it, we should, let's see if I can do this one hand, we should get an idea of what it's going to look like. It might twist a little bit. That halyard, the gaff does twist a little bit as the sail twists, but by and large it stays front and center. So that's pretty cool. And I've tied the camera around the mast. It's pretty secure. So if anything were to happen, hopefully it'll stay to the mast. So okay, we'll give that a go. I learned the hard way. My first sailing expedition, I lost my original GoPro because, you know, I did what everyone does when they're an amateur or completely you know, a novice in my case, I thought I'd get the boat out in 10 knot winds, and as soon as I got to the middle of the lake, I'll tie everything down, get my act together. But no, I capsized about where that yellow ball is. I don't think I even got there, where the yellow buoy is, if you can see that. And then I lost my camera, I lost the glove, I lost my bailer. I mean, I certainly learned the hard way that day. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to make sure the camera I always have in my hand is going to be using this GoPro. I don't know what it's called actually, but it's supposed to float. Let's see again. Yeah, that's floating. So actually that's really cool. So, you know, if by any chance you just do lose the there is still a current here, you do lose your camera, at least it's going to float on the top of there. So I've got this is actually the only string I've got. It's a little bit thick, but I've managed to get it through the hole on the bailer. That looks quite secure. And then I figure I'll make the string. I think this was the old bailer string, but I like to use it so good, this string, this rope or whatever you call it in the sailing world. I'm going to make it the same length as that. And then I'm just going to tie it off at the front here. So I've got a bailer that's nice and tight. So next project today, I've got my little, I think a Windvane. I think it'd be better if I can widen this little hole here so this can go all the way through. I don't think this little tie it did the job. So I've got my little Dremel here. I'm going to try and see if we can just widen that hole a little bit. Just do. I'll try that. There we go. And that's, well, actually that's a really solid fit. So that's going to be hard to get in and out. We've got the outboard on. I wanted to stick a little bit of wood on the back and the front of the transom, but I'll measure that up and we'll do it next time. I think we'll be okay. Got my water. I've got my bag. This is new. This is like a proper rubber waterproof bag. I did have those nylon ones that apparently got really good reviews on Wiggle, but I thought they let water in. They were really poor for me. So I'm trying a new bag. As you can see, I'm learning by my mistakes. That's tied on and we'll shove that in there. My phone is in that bag, my car keys, so everything's safe. And you can see I've got a camera on here, so I've decided to give this a go. You know, these stick-on VHB GoPro sort of stick-on mounts, they've been quite good for me, you know, in the past, so we'll risk it. You can see I've tied the camera on here securely, so if anything happens we can deal with that. I could just hear the train. Oh, there it is. There's a little choo-choo train that you can go on. So I think Poppy will really love that. Little choo-choo train to go on. Really cool. It runs right behind where the boat is. Okay, let's go launch the boat. You might not be able to see in here. Apparently this is all these are, let's put the camera under so you can see. All these are trout spawn. Like there's thousands and thousands of them in the water. So apparently there's trout in here, apparently there's some salmon. But we shall see what the guy catches when he comes back. So the tiller, if you sit at the back of this boat with the engine, the outboard on it, it's quite, you know, it's quite unstable. The bottom goes in. You really need someone on the front, ideally. Oh, come on. That's the one there. Crazy. I've just gone and had dinner, so you can just see over there. You might just be able to see in the distance. That's the yacht, the yacht club. It's the dinghy club, sailing club, Barla Sailing Club, and I'm kind of in the middle of the lake here. It's a really beautiful lake. I really love it here. I'm really glad to have joined Barla. It's a really friendly club. I think people around here are really friendly anyway. And it just makes for a really safe and lovely place. I don't know, it's just, I could spend hours, you know, forget about sailing, just put the outboard on, get the boat out here and just sit and read a book, or I don't know, just enjoy the beauty. I mean, look at that, it's amazing. So down there is like a sports centre. You can hire canoes and all sorts of stuff. You might just be able to make out a few canoers over there, there's a guy over there that's actually just been sailing. You can probably pick up from the fact that we're no longer boating in a glass lake. There's now some what's the word I'm looking for, not tide, there's now some swell which has come from the wind. The wind suddenly came in. And it normally comes from that direction over there and kind of comes up the lake. So you can see how I need a tiller extension of some nature. I have to sit right. If you look at me, I'm right in the middle of the boat. I mean, I'm an ex-rugby player, let's put it that way, and I think I'm about 16 stone, you know, so my weight, you know, really affects a dinghy like this Mirror Dinghy. So if I sit in the middle of the boat, it really loves it, you know, the boat feels really stable. But if I sit at the back, let's try and do this. You can see, if I sit on one side, instantly we're heeling over. The boat seems to steer quite well, even though the motor's a bit off centre. But it'd be nice to have a tiller extension. I've turned that camera around in the front, so I'm just doing a quick video. Do you know what? It's really quite nice to have the outboard and no, you know, very little wind today, because actually it's teaching me a lot about how to handle the boat, where to stand, how I can tip it up, you know, because it does like to heel, this boat, you know. I mean, that's the whole point of balancing the sails and stuff. It's a proper little dinghy, this, you know, it's a proper little sailboat. It's got everything that a big sailboat has practically. That was the idea. It's nice to kind of get a feel for the boat. I'm really starting to understand how the boat sort of works. So it's really nice. You can see how much smoother it is. It's brilliant. Now I've got the hang, you know, I have to sit in the middle here, and it's brilliant. If only I had a little bit of an extension to the tiller, this would be an amazing boat. I feel really safe in it, and you know, it's really lovely. It's a brilliant day. What an amazing day, you know, this is. So I'm really, really chuffed. So I thought it'd be a little bit fun while we've got no wind, and we could we're using the outboard today. I thought it'd be just a bit of fun to sort of see what sort of speeds we could get out this sea propulsion. We're now going down the tide, so I'm just going to crank it up to, I'm going to crank the motor up to 200 watts or thereabouts. There we go. So you can see we're just under 200 watts. That's giving us nearly 6 hours of run time, and we've been out all day, all morning anyway. And you can see we've got 3.6 knots. So that's 300 watts. So that's now cutting down our hours to about, not much more, about 3 hours 50. We're now doing, well, we're going, oh, there we go, 4.4 knots, 4.5 knots. There we go. So we're ramping it up. And we're getting, immediately we're up to 4.9 there. Oh. Well, there we go. Let's 6.8, and well, we're not doing 9 knots, I know that for sure. But I mean, you can see it's going, oh god, it's not very, the average is about 5.5, I'd say, which sounds about right. It takes time to settle down, I think, this app. So there's not much, there's no real point running the engine to 1,000 watts, so you just don't get, I think the hull of the boat maybe is a restricting factor to that, but it was just interesting to see what this will actually do. So back on shore. It sure is hard getting out. If you get the wheels of the trolley and they come off the sort of little ramp, it's really stony, it's really hard on your own, but I'm learning. I'm getting quicker every time. Anyway, I've decided to move these I forget what they're called, tow straps. I think they're for leaning out the boat. I figure that I'm nowhere near that standard at the moment, so I've actually removed them from the back, and they're just here. I can't remove them from here because I need a spanner, so I need to remove them. But I think they just get in the way for me.